So it was just a couple of minutes ago that Abby was talking about this this D-bag online that really was really nasty to her, right? And if you've listened to this show for any amount of time, you know that Abby goes through the same dating cycles everybody else is going through also, right? It is tough out there, really tough. So I'm sitting on vacation. I have some downtime. So rather than read a book or do anything productive, I decided to go to social media. And a couple of Bert Show listeners had sent me this video of an influencer that has been talking about the Bert Show. Now, not specifically our show, but a take that Abby had, and started ripping on Abby after she listened to the segment on her channel. Have you guys heard it yet?
Yeah, because you sent it and I put it on the schedule, so I watched it.
All right. So this is Emily W. King listening to the Bert Show for the very first time. And it was about Abby's hot take on not dating a dude that, or not wanting to date a dude that worked at Chuck E. Cheese. Okay. We all remember this?
Nope.
Okay.
And then I look at his most recent employer. And it doesn't strike me as odd at first when I see it because it says director of blah, blah, blah at CEC Entertainment. And I go, oh, we both work in entertainment. How cool. Soulmate. So I Google CEC Entertainment. And there in bold letters is the name of his boss, the big cheese himself, Chuck E. Cheese Entertainment. I cannot date a grown man who works for Charles E. Cheddar.
I have two things to say about this. Number one, I don't think a lot of women realize how disappointing it is for men to hear stories like this. Because in this particular instance, this woman is talking about her dating mindset, which is very much focused on a list of his qualifications. It's all about what he can bring to the table and nothing about him as a person. In today's world, most men feel like the love that they receive is based on what they can provide, right? It's only conditional. Hearing stories like this, hearing a woman's mindset when it comes to dating, it only reinforces that. The second thing I want to say is that this is the type of woman that will remain single for a very long time. Because that man, he might make more than 90% of men out there. But she disqualifies him based on her own assumptions, which I think is her problem. That man clearly dodged a bullet.
So,
Woo.
yeah.
Whoa.
She went hard.
She went in,
Okay.
right? So I had assumed that Abby had listened to this before, right? Because I saw it and I just assumed that you had seen it before also, but you said you were trying to avoid it?
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of people. I only had one or two people send it to me, and I specifically avoid any negative commentary about myself because listen, like, you're going to say things that maybe you would take back or maybe like is the most unfiltered version of yourself. Not that I think like that take is like super crazy or like unhinged or anything, but it's just not good for your mindset. Like, nobody wants to hear criticism about themselves on a massive platform, especially when you have all of incel TikTok running to your TikTok to tell you that you're a walking red flag, that you're a 4 and you should never forget about it, that you're ugly. You know what I mean? Like, I already have to see that stuff, so I don't want to know where it's coming from.
Where is that showing up?
On my TikTok, like, people then now go from her take to my TikTok to now send me like death threats and rude things.
What?
Yes, like, people see incel TikTok found that and decided to come after me. So I don't want to know what she's saying. So now that I know what's going around, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But like, it's already tough enough seeing what, faceless people on the internet have to say. I don't necessarily want to know like the take,
Right. So in listening to it now, that it's not nearly as bad as it was before, does that change your attitude about it?
About like the Chuck E. Cheese thing? Like, would I take it back?
Or just her take on it?
Oh, no, I mean, I don't think her take was bad. I think it's, I think people on the internet have the same job that we do, is where you see something, you make commentary about it, you give your opinion and move on. And I don't think she was rude. I mean, I think the single for a long time thing was a little uncalled for. I'm like, I would like to know who your partner is. Are they working for Charles E. Cheddar?
I don't think it's fair for us to expect us to have a take and other people not to have takes on our take.
Yeah.
So because like Larry said, that's what we do. It's what we do during Entertainment Buzz. Anytime somebody says something, we have a reaction and we also have a take on it. And so because we have a platform with a microphone, when we have a take, now death threats and like saying like that, obviously people not acceptable.
Far,
yeah, not acceptable in the least, and not making any excuses for that, because that's just unacceptable. But for us to come on here and have an opinion about something and somebody thinks the complete opposite, well then yeah, of course they're going to stitch it and then say, you know what? what? I think this person is wrong, and here's why.
You know, we went through this whole thing before we went on break also. I think there is a way to comment and have an opinion without being completely and totally mean and trying to affect somebody's mental health.
I just feel like it's the triggers, man. That's what I'm starting to realize is everybody is triggered by something. Everybody has some kind of trauma, and whenever it hits in that wheelhouse, people will just project and express themselves in a way that is just as cruel as possible. And I understand both you guys' point in that, yes, people can absolutely have takes on us because that's what we do, but I ain't got to take it. I ain't got to listen to it.
Well, I mean, that's why we're blocking more people these days, because the criticisms are absolutely fine. Constructive criticism, I got no beef with. This, you know, we've went through all of this before break. But when you're mean or you are purposely trying to get into somebody's head or into their soul, you're blocked. It's really been that simple.
I feel like that's the way it should be. I mean, constructive criticism is a very different cry from people just trying to be cruel and trying to ruin your mental health.
But we can't expect people to agree with everything we say.
No,
That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I don't think that she was wrong for making that video. I just want to live in a world where I don't have to see that video. You know what I mean? Because then I'll start filtering my takes and I won't be authentic. And the reality is even though it's really hurtful for someone to have an opposing opinion to yours, or for someone to take like a small grain of what you said and try and inflate it so that all of incel TikTok comes after you, like, not all of me is likable and perfect, and that's something I'm having a hard time coming to grips with. But like, I do think there's a certain vulnerability to say the thing that's not necessarily likable, and I think I'm doing people listening a disservice if I try to manipulate my opinion so much to be super pleasing and likable to everyone. Because the reality is that was my knee-jerk reaction when I saw his employer was Chuck E. Cheese, and I know that there was somebody else feeling that same way, even though that's not necessarily the politically correct thing to put out there.
And you're 1,000% correct. You need to be authentically yourself. People can see through the BS, and we all should be authentically ourselves, but we also should realize that there are going to be people out there who don't agree with what we say and are going to stitch videos and are going to have some kind of retort. And
that's not the problem I have with it. I don't know why we're arguing this thing in circles. Go ahead and have an opinion, but you don't have to like say things like, give
You're
a death threat, or you're ugly, or you're a 4.5. Those are two totally different things.
No, we all.
I'm at least a 6.5, so
Talk.
so it's fine. Again, I don't have a problem with the take, but again, I knew that take was going to open up the Pandora's box of people coming at you and calling you those types of things. So yeah, it's not necessarily a comfortable thing to read about yourself.
I admire the people who can genuinely look into the face of people talking about them, and it just doesn't affect them at all. They just believe what they are. They don't move away from that. But I do like some people who, if you are a self-reflector and if you really want to be accountable, it really can change how you see yourself and think of yourself. So I get having to block that out.
Yeah, because I'm self-reflective. Like if I am saying something problematic, I don't want to not look at it and go, was that wrong? But at the same time, if you start looking at yourself so much and think that you're constantly wrong all the time because one person or 1,000 people say something about you, it can really impact your mental health. And because I am that type of person that is willing to look in the mirror, those types of things really do get to me because I don't want to be the kind of woman that's going to be single forever.
Look, at the end of the day, this is the oldest cliche that 50% of people you meet are going to like you, 50% aren't going to like you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I'm going to try, though. I'm going to try really hard. I want at least 75% of people to like me.
The Bert Show.